present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas one at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio.
Cannot hear you at all.
To all be here, and I didn't hit the right button there. Sorry about that. It's, just one of those things that happens. It's technology, and sometimes it doesn't work so well. But today we're here with Jennifer Etzwiler, right?
Yes.
I said it right. I'm amazed at myself. And you are a speaker, and you're an author. Boy, that must feel good to be able to have somebody say that.
Yes, it does, actually. It really, really does.
And you are working with Allison Roberts and Behind the Power. You're going to be a speaker again this year. You've written part of the book from last year and part of the book from this year. And so we're going to talk about all of that. And this incredible conference is coming up, and it's happening October 19th to the 21st, I believe. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
And so you can, there's still space for you to join and to go there either live or digitally, however you choose to do it. And there's a beautiful hotel that you can stay at, and they feed you lunch, they feed you breakfast, and it's good to go. And it's 3 days of really fabulous people doing some great stuff. But you know more than I, because I haven't been there yet. I'm hoping to. I'm sending somebody there this year, but. I can't go myself, but so in any event, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really good. And the one thing I will say is if you get a chance to go in person to Behind the Power, it is night and day difference. I was in meetings several times a week with Allison for a year before the first Behind the Power, and I couldn't believe the difference of seeing her in person versus on Zoom. Like it was shocking. Like it's magical.
Well, she's a magical person. However you get her.
She's pretty magical anyway. But like she goes up on the scale in person. So if you have the opportunity to go in person, you absolutely should.
By the way, this is Jennifer's first podcast. And so if you're listening in and would like to comment and give her some encouragement, feel free to do so. Just hit the comment button right there, and you can say hello to us. And as we talk through everything that we're going to do, but let's talk about Jennifer. How did you meet Allison, and how has that all impacted your life?
I met her through another class I was taking. She had partnered with that teacher to, see what they could do for each other's students. And I felt like it was a match and started taking her classes. And a couple months later, she asked me to do the book and the speech and all the things that go with promoting the book. And it was life-changing. I mean, her work is pretty life-changing anyway. It's a whole different way of thinking about how you think than I was certainly raised. But going through the whole process of the book and speaking on stage and all of that was absolutely life-changing. I mean, at the beginning of the process, I was literally laying in bed watching TV all day. And a year later, I was showered and dressed and had makeup on and was standing on stage in front of people as an introvert, talking and giving a speech. It was absolutely life-changing.
That had to be a little scary, wasn't it? By the way, Christine says hello.
Hi, Christine. It was a little bit scary, but Allison is an excellent cheerleader. She's really good at like knowing when to push you and when to give you a little bit of space. And it just, like she pushed me in all the right times and places. by the time I got to Atlanta, I don't even remember being all that nervous.
Oh, that's cool. Now,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that when you were lying in bed watching TV all day, that there was a point in time when you said, "This is not how I want to live my life, and there has to be more. And what am I supposed to be doing?" Did those thoughts cross your mind?
All except for the "what am I supposed to be doing" part. I didn't even get that far. But yeah, a few years before I met Allison, I was literally crying myself to sleep more than once a day, and thinking horrible thoughts about what my life was going to be like. I had chronic pain issues, I had depression. I would start thinking negative thoughts, and then it would spiral. I'm an only child of an only child, so when my parents die, I'm going to be all alone, and like every horrible thought that I could have about what my life was going to be like when I was old was happening. And then one day my cat got sick, and of all the things, um, I ended up finding, because she got sick, finding a coach that started me on the road that got me down the road to meet Allison.
Awesome. By the way, Joyce says hello as well.
Hi, Joyce. Joyce is wonderful.
So and the one thing that I love about your group and all the people that surround you is everyone is so supportive. It is really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's amazing how supportive this group is. I didn't know anything like this existed before I joined this group.
And in our day and age, with what's going on in the world today, I think it's more important than ever that we all get together and we understand each other, and we can communicate, and we can kind of form a group of people that really care for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this group, we're all doing very similar emotional work. Like, we may have different stories that we started off with, or we were raised in different types of households or towns or whatever, but we've all got similar emotional issues that we're working on in similar ways because of the way Allison teaches us to work on that stuff. And so we know when one of us is struggling, and we're really supportive.
And I just want to point this out to anybody who's listening that's not part of the Allison Roberts group, and that is that everybody struggles. This life is hard. Everybody has got a background. At least I can't say everybody, because I haven't met the 8 billion people that are on the planet, but I can tell you that everybody that I have met, to a person, has had trauma in their background, has had PTSD of some form or another, has had these voices in their head that are not conducive to getting to where you want to go. That's how we all grow up. And so I really implore you, if you don't have a coach, get one. And my suggestion would be Allison Roberts, and go to AllisonRoberts.com, and you can find somebody that's just extraordinary, because we all need help, and from somebody from the outside. And I know that you agree with that.
100%. And when I first started getting help for my negative thought processes and everything, I hadn't met Allison yet, but there are fewer stigmas than there were when I was growing up, or when you were growing up, around mental health and seeking help. But I still had a lot of those thoughts of, what will people think of me, and what will people think when they find out I'm in therapy, for God's sake, and all those kinds of things. So the first help that I got was actually with a coach, and thank goodness she had the tools to take me on, because that didn't feel like it had the stigma.
Exactly.
And it was really helpful.
See, when I was growing up, if you were in therapy, you was a crazy person.
Yep. It wasn't quite that bad when I was growing up, but it was pretty close.
Well, you're a bit younger than me, I got to tell you, but because I'm a child of the 70s, and in the 70s, it was not something that you talked about. They hadn't even invented bipolar disease or any of that kind of stuff. You was just crazy and stuff. So then that's why you end up going. And by the way, I have to ask Peggy Williams Scott, who's joining us. Hello, Jennifer. She says, first time to Positive Talk Radio. My question to you, Peggy, is where the hell you been?
I know, and she's local too. I know her.
Oh, very nice. Well, she can always go to positivetalkradio.net. I've got 200. We just passed 200 episodes today.
Wow, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, I've got 450 on my Independence Report. So there's all kinds of ways that you can get in touch with Positive Talk Radio. And one of the best ways, she was just kidding. Oh, no, wait a minute. I missed one. She said she's in bed watching TV. Very, very smart. And then she's just kidding. It's truly an inspiration for me to be able to talk to you guys and stuff. So you've written 2 chapters in the book.
Mm-hmm.
First chapter was last year, and then the second. And what did you focus on in the first book?
So last year I talked about when my cat got sick and I went and got help, and how terrifying that was to me, that, my cat was the one person that had been there for me, that, I'd gone through a breakup. I had my dad and my stepdad had both passed away, but my cat was still there. And suddenly I was terrified she was going to be gone. And so that was enough to kick me in the butt and start working on myself.
How is Kitty today?
Kitty passed away in August of 2020.
I'm sorry.
But she is still sassy and gives me hell every once in a while in my ear anyway.
because of your kitty and your therapy and stuff, you've also become a bit of what they call an animal communicator, right?
Yes.
I love people who communicate with animals. I really do.
I got to tell you, I first found out it was a thing in about 96. And I met a woman in a local bookstore who I thought was going to give a class on how to talk to animals. And she ended up doing readings. They tried to close the bookstore 3 times before they got us all out of there because we just enjoyed her so much. But like the moment I found out she taught classes, it was like, please take my money, please.
Oh, there's a good business model right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, us animal lovers, like just the idea of talking to animals is so cool.
It really is. So in exploring your gifts and the development of your gifts, how have they presented themselves today?
One of my favorite stories is we were talking about just before the show started was in the Pacific Northwest, which you're from here, but all your listeners may not be. In the Pacific Northwest, we have spider season. And you always know when someone is not from the Pacific Northwest because they will post on the Facebook neighborhood groups and next door and things like that. Do I have an infestation? Do I need to call the exterminator? And they get lots of responses of, no, it's going to last about a week or 2 and you'll be fine. It's mating season. And so I had one year, I had 5 big spiders during mating season that circled my bedroom ceiling.
Oh,
and
lovely.
Yes. And I kept waiting for one of them to fall on my head in my sleep. And it was just so creepy. And we ended up calling an exterminator. And about a year later, when the spiders started coming back, I had this tiny little spider in my kitchen sink. And I'd pick him up and put him somewhere else, and he'd be back the next time I was in the kitchen. So I was talking to a friend of mine who was an animal communicator that did it professionally, and I didn't at the time. And I said, you know how you just get spiders in the sink sometimes in the Pacific Northwest? There's this long pause, and she said, no, dear, I don't. I've lived here 20 years. I don't think I've ever had a spider in my sink. And I went, oh, so I'm weird? And she said, yeah, I think you need to go talk to that spider and find out what's going on. So I spent a month doing dishes around the spider. I got really good at it, not getting him wet. And every time I went in there, I'd say, what do you want to tell me? And for the better part of a month, I thought he was telling me that his name was Friedrich, spelled Frie. You can guess where this is going. And the day that I finally got friend, it came with so much love that it absolutely brought tears to my eyes. Like it really did. I still get choked up thinking about it. And ever since then, I like the big ones don't show up very often, but I actually kind of look forward to August spider season and my friends showing up for a visit. It's really changed the way I look at spiders. And because of it, I've joined spider groups on Facebook and have learned more about spiders, other creepy crawlies. So it's really helped me change the way I look at things.
Well, I'm really happy for you. Because I'll tell you what, we have a standing bargain, them and I. They come in my house, and it's not long. They're not going to be here one way or another very long. And I had an animal communicator who set that intention for me and stuff. So now we didn't talk beforehand. So I got to ask you, you live in the Northwest?
I do. I was born at Seattle Doctors Hospital, which is now part of Virginia Mason. But the building is now part of Virginia Mason. My mom actually got me an ashtray from there at an antique store one day.
So you live in Seattle?
Yeah, I was raised in Wallingford, and I went to Ballard High School, and one set of parents lived in Seattle, and the other one moved out to Kenmore, and I live in Kenmore now.
So does my sister.
Ah,
So does
small world.
So does my executive producer Holly.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. And I live down in SeaTac. So, but I grew up in Kirkland and grew up in Kenmore and all of that. So congratulations. Well, that, you know what that means, don't you?
We're virtual neighbors.
We're virtual neighbors, but that also means that since you're an animal communicator, and I want to book you on to. I do Metaphysical Fridays on KKNW 1150 AM.
Okay.
And I do 3 days a week there. Allison's been on the show. I think she loved it. By the way, Allison says
Yes.
hello to both of us.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Allison. It's awfully nice to have you here as always. And but I'd love to book you there so that we can talk about your animal communication skills, and we can take calls and all that kind of good stuff. Now,
I would love that.
Do you talk to animals that are both living and past?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's no different. It's all energy.
Yes, indeed. That you read my mind. It is indeed all energy. So I got to ask you because it's I don't know, it's like my show, and I have a couple of dogs that I loved and passed on, and I so how does the process work for you?
So normally if I'm going to give like a good in-depth reading, I go make sure that I meditate and ground myself really well. I can do some on the fly kind of stuff, but a really good reading, I want to meditate and ground first. And then I have a series of questions that I kind of start with just to make sure that I've got the right pet. So like I kind of try to get an idea of their personality, and maybe I might ask them like what their favorite toy or favorite food or favorite thing to do with their person is, things like that. And that helps me and you know that I'm talking to the right animal, because it does occasionally happen that I get the wrong one.
Well, I've had let's see, 4 dogs in my life. Excuse me, 5 dogs and I've had them for extended periods of time. The two that were closest to me was my dog Crockett, who was a Australian Shepherd Labrador mix, just a beautiful dog, faster than the wind, was a great friend to me, and I had to put him down because he had cancer when he was 8 years old, and I've always regretted having to do that. When you put, well, as you know, losing an animal is as bad as losing a family member.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have yet to meet a pet guardian that doesn't have questions about did they do the right thing at the end of their pet's life, whether they helped them cross the rainbow bridge or whether they didn't. You know, when my Miss Kitty passed away, I was talking to her regularly about what she wanted, and I had a friend talking to her just in case I wasn't reading it right because I was too emotionally involved in the whole thing,
Right.
and I knew what she wanted. I still beat myself up after she died. Did I do the right thing? And should I have helped her cross the rainbow bridge? Was it the right thing to let her go naturally? And so I've never met anyone that doesn't have some question about did they do the right thing. And
Well, Allison's right, and Allison chimes in. Sometimes losing an animal is worse. Well,
yes, absolutely.
My story is I lost my dad. He'd had a stroke and was in ICU for a period of time, and I lost him on December 30th. And then 2 months later, and he loved Crockett as well. So 2 months later, on Valentine's Day, I found out that he had a tumor, and I had to put him down. And I was much more upset losing Crockett than I was losing my dad, because I know I'm going to see my dad again. I wasn't sure at that time. I'm more sure now, but I wasn't sure at that time whether or not I was going to be able to see Crockett again. But I've been told on numerous occasions that he is actually with my dad on the other side, waiting for me to show up.
Yeah, and they both come and check in on you periodically.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. And see, my dad died then, and my brother died a year ago, October, and my mother, she just had her year anniversary death in July. So I got lots of folks that are over there now and stuff. So, so do you do mediumship for people as well?
I have not done it professionally. I've talked to several of my family members. My dad visited me after he passed away, and both he and his dad, who I was not close with in life, they come and check in on me a lot. Actually, I often tell people I have a better relationship with my dad now than I did when he was alive because we talk more often.
I've heard that a ton.
Yeah.
There are people that have your gift, and to an extent, we all have that gift. It's a matter of exercising the muscle, understanding what the muscle is, and being able to appreciate it and trust that the information that you're getting through is accurate.
Yep. Yeah, it's all about practice. It's
Yeah.
I actually had one of the drafts of my speech that I was working on for Behind the Power. I had a whole section in there on can anybody do this, and I ended up pivoting what the speech was about, so it's not in there anymore. But I honestly believe anyone can do this. Are you going to be an Olympic level psychic? Maybe, if you put in the amount of practice an Olympic athlete does, and you have some of that God-given talent, and you have great coaches and all that kind of stuff. If you don't put in all the practice, you might not win the gold, but you're still going to have some talent.
Exactly. By the way, I don't want you to get an inflated ego or a big head with what I'm about to post, but Allison says Jennifer is wicked talented. That's that's pretty high praise coming from Allison, who, by the way, is also intuitive and is pretty wicked talented herself.
Yeah, that's some crazy high praise from Allison. I appreciate it, Allison. Thank you so much.
So this gift that you've had, Allison helped you, I'm sensing, go from being in bed so much and thinking your life was a mess and it was over and nothing was going right, to where you can actually stand on stage and give a talk, two talks. You've written in two different books. It's amazing to me the transformation that you've made. How did you do it?
Well, it started before I met Allison, and I will honestly say that that I'm one of those people that says, thank God the pandemic happened. I wish all the people hadn't died, but it changed the way we interact. Like everybody's on Zoom now. So suddenly I found out that I could take classes on Zoom. I didn't know that before. Um, I could interact with people at church or at the senior center or in my hobby on Zoom. I didn't know I could do that before. So I started making small commitments to like be in a meeting once a week or once a month or something like that. And then I started taking classes that was a little bit more commitment. I kind of built that muscle to getting up and getting dressed and turning off the TV and being in the meeting on time and all that kind of stuff. So I was primed by the time I met Allison to be able to go to her classes twice a week and really take in the information that she was giving us. And that helped push me over the top. But honestly, I'm so glad the pandemic happened for me. It changed my life.
It made it possible.
Yeah, it made it absolutely possible.
With the rise of technology. See, I did a show called Positive Talk Radio. Maybe you've heard of it. And I started in 2003. Well, back in those days, you could go on a radio station, which I still do, because I love the format and I love to do it. But you couldn't do it. You couldn't do what we're doing today. Right. We could not. I've had Allison on a bunch of times. I've had a gentleman from Finland, a singer from Sweden, and we can do this live without having to travel all over the place. And it's just like we're together, like we're in the same room.
Yeah, I remember my stepdad being interviewed for the radio once when I was a kid. And I remember like everybody in the house had to be silent because he was on the phone calling into the radio, and we all had to be quiet and like the loudest breath, and somebody was shushing us. And now it's, like I had 3 microphones to choose from today to set up this meeting, and it's affordable and it's not hard to get. And and we get to see each other and connect in a different way. I know the first Zoom meeting that I went to, I was shocked at how close I felt to 50 people.
Yes.
I was absolutely shocked by that.
Well, and in this day and age with the COVID that still is lingering out there someplace and stuff, it really is important that we take care of ourselves, take care of our health. Even Joe Biden got COVID today.
Yeah, I saw that. And I know the other thing that it has allowed is for example, I volunteer at a church, and previously some of the seniors, when they'd have a fall or breaks, or even the not seniors, anyone who fell and broke something or got sick or whatever, just missed church until they got better. And now we have this Zoom option that we're able to offer, so that like even our members that have moved away can still attend, and it's made a huge difference for them.
It really has, and it can form a community, and the community can stay together even though you're not physically in the same room, but you still can. Your energy. It's amazing to me that your energy transfers to wherever you are, and it's like I can feel your energy. By the way, Joy says, yes, Jen is wicked talented, smart, and a rock star. So you're I didn't know you played an instrument.
My head is going to swell, people.
Both of those things can be true, and you deserve all the praise. Number one, quite frankly, just to get your ass out of bed, you deserve a lot of praise for that all by itself. But then to take it to that next level, and you're also doing readings, and by the way, how do the folks at church feel about an animal communicator in their midst?
Well, it's a Unitarian Universalist church.
Never mind, I got it. Okay.
So there was one member of the church that called me one day and said, I am so interested. I want to know more about this. And she started talking about studies she'd been involved in with chimpanzees communicating and stuff. And I got to stop you for a minute. I talked to animals using telepathy, and she went, "Oh, that's not what I thought. Good for you. What else can we talk about?" but but she was absolutely lovely about it. Like there was no judgment or anything else, and nobody else has ever said anything even vaguely like, "Oh, that's not for me." They just haven't talked to me about it. So it's worked out just fine.
And Christine says, "We love you, Jennifer."
I love Christine so much. She's such a good friend.
And Peggy gives you a smiley face. There you go. Well, and the thing is, and I mentioned it before, but I've been doing this a long time, and I have ceased to believe in psychics. I've ceased to believe in mediums. I've ceased to believe in animal communicators, because now I know that what they do is real. There's no doubt in my mind. I've seen it too many times. As an example, I have a good friend that was on the original Positive Talk. Her name is Kim Miller. She's a medium. And I was on my way to do one of the shows that I was doing at the time at KLAY in Tacoma. And she called me, and I was talking to her, and I said, "By the way, Crockett's not feeling very good. There is a story here. Crockett's not feeling very good. Can you look and tell me what's going on with him?" And so she was silent for a moment. She looked and she said, "Oh, Kevin, he has cancer." And I said, "You're sure?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." And so I got home from the radio station after I did my show, packed him in the car, took him to the vet. And when we were in there, I said, "He's not eating. He's not feeling very well. He's feeling, he's kind of bloated and stuff." And she said, "Well, let's start doing some blood tests, and we'll do this test and we'll do that test." And I said, "I'll tell you what, before you do any of that, I want you to take a x-ray of his stomach area." And she said, "Well, okay, that's your money." So she took it. So I left him with them and drove home. And I'd been home maybe 10 minutes, and I live 10, 15 minutes away. And the vet called back and said, "Well, you can come and get Crockett." And so I went there, and she said, "He's got a grapefruit-sized tumor attached to his stomach and next to his spleen. And we can operate, but that would only give him about 6 months." And that was told to me from a lady who was in Mount Lake Terrace, Washington, and I was down in Auburn, and she hit it dead on the money, that was wrong with what was wrong with him, and I ended up having to put him down on Valentine's Day. And I've got so many instances. I've had John Edward on my show. I've had so many people that are absolutely genuine, absolutely real, and you're never ever 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 going to convince me that what you do is a charlatan or isn't right. Now, because you're communicating in signals and impressions and thoughts, sometimes the information can be misconstrued or misevaluated. Yeah. Now that happens, right?
That absolutely happens. For example, when I learned to do this, a lot of animal communicators use a picture of the animal.
Oh, sure.
And when I learned to do this, my very first teacher was adamant that we did not need pictures. So I learned to do this without pictures.
Well, that's kind of a form of kinesiology, to use the pictures kind of thing.
I guess, yeah. So I got used to working without pictures, and I was taking a class where we used pictures regularly, and I would avoid looking at the picture. And then one week we were talking to a woman who had 5 dogs, that one was the mother and 4 were her offspring. And I talked to 2 of the dogs that were not the mother when I was supposed to be talking to the mother. And so it is easy to, like we all have our filters that we go through life with, and from things that have happened to us and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy to misinterpret it. And so it's one of the reasons why I try to meditate and ground, is to try to get myself out of the way as much as possible, so I can be objective about what I'm receiving.
Well, and Peggy says that in her own limited experience in knowing Jennifer, I must say that her gift of intuition is nurtured and supported by her deep empathy and non-judgmental presence. You're not going to be able to get your head through the door by the end of the day.
I know. My goodness gracious. I will say that Peggy let me cat sit for her cat, and I'm the only one that has ever cat sat for her cat. And her cat is the only cat I have ever cat sat for. So
say that 3 times real fast.
I know. So I have a bond with her and her cat for sure.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And I'm sure the cat and you had a nice conversation every now and again.
We did. It took us a couple of days because, she'd never had a cat sitter before, and there was a stranger in her house, and her mom was gone and her dad was gone, and there was a stranger in her house, for God's sake. So it took us a couple of days, but we got there.
And Peggy says, but you sat for the cat, but you didn't sit on the cat. So that's good.
I'm pretty sure the cat sat on me at one point, but no, I did not sit on the cat.
Oh, very good. So can we just, because of my story that I shared with you about Crockett, and I really truly would love for you to show all of us a little bit, just a little bit about your gift. Can you see Crockett anywhere out there?
I can feel him. Do you have a question?
How's he doing? Is he with my dad?
Oh, he's happy as a clam. He is happy as a clam, and he sees your dad regularly, and he just gets to do all the dog things he wants to, and he gets to check in on you whenever he wants to, and eat the things and run and all the dog things.
But
and he's having a great time.
That's cool. Could you tell him that he's going to have to wait a while for me to get there?
Oh, he knows.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's not saying.
Knows. I don't have to tell him that.
I'm glad he's not saying, yeah, Jennifer, he's coming next week.
Yeah.
So
none of us know that. So
no one knows the time or the place or how and stuff like that. So, but that's part of the grand adventure. And since you're talking to animals and people that have passed on, has it changed your ultimate perception of what's going on over there on the other side?
Yeah, it has. I think I had questions before I did this regularly, and my Miss Kitty comes and visits me a lot, but the more I practice this, the more I see, like Miss Kitty comes and I see my dad and I see my grandpa, and they tell me that, all is good, and it's very different being on the other side than it is being in, as Allison and the Supernatural show would say, a meat sack. If you've ever watched Supernatural, that's an ongoing theme, is the meat sack thing.
Yep.
It's very different. A lot of the things that I thought before I had some of these conversations were things like, that they're still mad at me over that thing that happened while they were alive. And like, no, they're not. They're not in a body. They don't care anymore. They're just happy doing their thing on the other side.
I got the biggest kick out of my mom because I talk to psychics all the time, as you can imagine. Yeah. And she passed away last year, and she was a fundamentalist Christian. So she had a strong belief that there's a heaven and there's a hell, and if you don't do the right things, you don't go to heaven, and you go to hell, and so forth. So one of the things that the psychic told me, that when she got there, one of the first things she said is, "Why are there so many people here?" And then she saw my dad and was like, "What the hell is he doing here?" So it, it was a very wide or eye-opening experience for her. And that's why I think if you have a certain attitude now, do I miss my mom? Do I miss my brother? Yes. Will I see them again? I know I will. So I'm not worried about it, and so therefore I don't need to grieve over them because it's like they're on vacation.
Well, and it's not like you don't miss them. I mean, you still miss their physical body, and I'd give my right arm to hug my dad again. But I also talk to him more than I did when he was alive. So, it's a trade-off. And I do know I'm going to see him. He came to me right after he died, and in a dream, and said, "The next time we see each other, everything will be better." And I 100% believe that.
I do too. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And if anybody would really like to find out, let me go back farther in the midst of time. When I decided to embark upon this journey, and the first couple things I said is, this can't be all there is. There has to be more. And why am I really here? What am I here to do? When am I here to contribute? And I had a friend, still have a friend. I have lots of friends, but this particular gentleman said, "I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and I want you to look for the first book that speaks to you and buy that book and read it." The book that spoke to me when I walked into the thing, and it was a brand new release at the time. This was like in 2000. It was a book called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. And it is about life between lives, what we do over there. And he takes people into really deep hypnosis, and he talks about the death experience and what happens with us over on the other side, and how it all works. He's done over 25,000 readings, or excuse me, putting that many people into hypnosis, and they all come back with virtually the same thing. So if you're ever curious and want a really good book on the subject, go to get Journey of Souls. Sorry, that's just my.
No, I that sounds fascinating. I will add it to my list of my stack of books to read.
Well, I imagine you're busy. You don't have a great deal of time anymore since you're an author. You're a speaker. You're doing all kinds of stuff. And you're an animal communicator. You must be really busy.
I am fairly busy. I'm in classes with Allison 4 days a week because I'm also in her practitioner program, and then readings and volunteering for the church. That's several hours a week, and then just life in general. And I do still have some chronic pain issues, so I have regular doctor's appointments, all that kind of stuff. It's things that come with an aging body.
I know. Doesn't it suck? It really does.
They tried to warn us, and we didn't listen when we were young.
No. When I was young, I could do anything. Now I can't do anything.
Yeah, that's about what it adds up to for me too.
So I want to ask you about this class that you're with 4 days a week with Allison. Mm-hmm. Describe it for us. What is it?
So we have a regular. If you're in her coaching program, there is a regular class on Thursday evenings, and then a bonus class on Monday. Well, it's morning our time. It's lunchtime on the East Coast. And then for the book and the event, we meet once a week. And then I'm also in her practitioner program, so that's once a week. And I actually have on the 5th day, we have a small group meeting, we call them small groups, where, 8 or 10 of us get together and set goals and hold each other accountable and just support each other in general. So I guess I'm 5 days a week in something of Allison's. And
on the 6th day, you're right.
On the 6th day, I'm often volunteering at church. So.
Well, see, that is your story is, and I hope you bring it out in the talk that you're going to have, because your story is remarkable. That you went from lying in bed watching TV, to now, you probably, when was the last time you turned your TV on? You probably don't have a lot of time for that anymore.
To be honest, I still old habits die hard. It's still on in the background most of the time from back when I had a lot of anxiety and I needed the voices to keep me company and quiet the ones in my brain. But I mute it a whole lot more than I ever have. I mean, it's muted more than than the volume's on these days. But I'm used to having it on. So I'll be honest here. It's not like we get fixed overnight. We're a work in progress.
And that progress is going to continue all the way until the last day that you're on the planet.
Absolutely. I am committed to this work at this point.
Well, and through Allison, through your association with her, and now through your association with me, you're going to be able to touch people in a way that you will not even know how you're touching them. But you're going to touch them in a positive way.
Yeah, that's true. I did get to meet someone who was really touched by my chapter last year, and it was as life-changing for me as it was for her.
You bet.
She was a young woman that read the chapter and told her mom that it was the first time she'd ever heard anyone speak what was in her mind. And it really, it's still, you can tell it's still, I get choked up thinking about it. Very, very special young woman that, has issues in her life, just like we all do. And some of us deal with them better than others. And like I desperately hope that someone who hears my story can take some nugget from it and maybe not get as deep down the rabbit hole as I ended up before they decide to turn it around.
Everybody needs a positive example.
Yeah.
Of someone that's been there. And Allison's the same way. She's been there, she's done that, and she's survived it. And not only survived it, she's thrived through it. And she's created this dynamic presence that she works with a lot of people, and that Behind the Power, which, by the way, if you're just tuning in and do not know, Behind the Power is an event that's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's going to happen on the 19th to the 21st of October, and the tickets are now available. Go to AllisonRoberts.com and you can get tickets to that. And if you live like where Jennifer and I do, which is in the Northwest, you can even book a couple extra days in the hotel room so that you don't have to fly crazy. And you can fly on Tuesday and Saturday and stay and have 4 nights in the hotel room, and they gave you a great discounted rate and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'm glad that she was able to add that, because that makes your schedule a lot easier, doesn't it?
It does. Last year we had an Airbnb for the authors, and it was a few miles away, and not all of us had cars. So we were there I think we got to the venue at like 6:45 in the morning, and we were there until at least 7 at night, and then we'd have to go figure out what to do for dinner. So I'm so excited to be in one place this year, and we've got food and a bed and the whole event all in one place, and the hotel looks beautiful. I've never been there, but the pictures are amazing, and I'm so excited.
Did she say what I think she said?
Yes, she did. I hope she means last year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she means last year, because it sounds to me like this year is perfectly organized and is gonna be great for everybody. And I really like the fact, well, first of all, by being in a hotel, if people that are there local or that have to travel there and they're staying, a lot of this stuff. And there she goes. It's amazing this year, but a lot of these moments will happen after the conference, before the conference. People that you'll make friends that you may have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
In this, because everybody's there for the same reason. Everybody understands that we're not all perfect, and we're all working to do the best we can. Oh, and Carrie says the hotel is gorgeous, and that you have rock star status, young lady.
I don't know how I'm going to get out the door when this interview's over, people.
Well,
like, I appreciate it. I love you all so much, but I honestly don't know how I'm going to get out the door.
Well, you're going to have to, but at least by October.
Yes, at least by October. Hopefully the swelling will have gone down and I will fit on the airplane.
You'll be just fine. But now we have to wrap up. But I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Go to positivetalkradio.net. Get my email. Let's book you onto a show. It'll be great fun for you to tell everybody that you're on the radio in Seattle. That's cool.
Oh, that will be exciting. Thank you. That's an amazing offer. Thank you very much.
Well, I only do that for people that I think can benefit the people that are listening, and you qualify. And your personal story. And the other thing that we can also talk about is where you were to where you are, and how Allison has helped with that. And hopefully we can get people to call her as well, because she's one of the best. Well, she's one of the top 100 coaches in the world. She's one of the best that's around. Yeah. So that's all I have to say. But I want to give you the opportunity to say to our audience, the ones that are listening now, and since this is going to be up forever, I hope you don't mind, on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and on positivetalkradio.net and 30 different platforms and all of that. So I hope I want you to be able to say something, anything that you'd like that is on your mind right now for all the people that are going to be listening now or in the future.
I think the biggest message that I would love people to hear is about animal communication. And that is that allowing your pet to be heard is one of the biggest gifts that you can give them. It's the same as for people. Feeling heard and seen just that one little thing can change your relationship. And I've seen it happen more than once with pets I've talked to. And it's an amazing gift to offer, whether it's with me or any other animal communicator. I hope that everyone with a pet will consider it.
And as a matter of fact, I'm on the market for a pet. Could you tell Crockett that I'm ready to have his soul come back into another animal, please?
I will tell him. I think he's sending you someone else.
Oh, okay.
But you'll love them just as much.
Okay. Well, I love dogs anyway, and I don't have one currently, and I miss them, so I'm going to do that. We again have been talking with Jennifer. Your last name,
Etzwiler.
Yes, indeed. Well, I wanted to make sure that you said it so that we got it right. And if someone wants to contact you, how do they do it?
My website is jenniferetzwiler.com. JenniferEtzwiler.
Awesome. And I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again. It'll be great fun.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This was awesome.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Very much so.
So with that, stay right where you are, and I'll be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of positivetalkradio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named positivetalkradio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we got.